Hi, I'm Rob Patz.
And I'm Kristen Stanton.
And this is the Rob and Kristen Show. Hey, and welcome to another edition of the Rob and Kristen Show. We are on location again. We're digging this whole location thing, aren't we?
It really is. It's a lot of fun.
Natural light is our best friend, and we love it. We are in Columbus, Indiana. If you haven't seen our complete special about Columbus, Indiana, and the 5 things we think you should know about Columbus, you can find that on the on-demand section. In fact, it was also featured recently all weekend long on our network. So it's an incredible place. We always have a fun time when we come here. But today's show really not about Columbus per se, but really about a fantastic time of year, which is Flag Day. Yes. Hey, we want to thank the great folks at 7 Weeks Coffee. You know I love coffee. I can't live without. Be honest with you, you don't want to see me without it. Yesterday was kind of a grumpy day. I got to be honest. Only had 1 cup of coffee. It was really good, but it was only 1 cup. So, if you're like me and you love good coffee, 7 Weeks Coffee has great coffee. They've got the whole bean, which we get. They now have K-Cups, which is fantastic, and they have ground coffee. So, here's the thing, though. If you're truly a coffee lover, you got to get the whole bean, because then it's fresh, or at least to me, it tastes fresher. You can come for me if you want and say, Rob, it really doesn't matter. That's fine. It makes me feel, though, like I'm doing something. Like I am part of a greater good of this coffee. It's not just me pouring the coffee into the coffee pot. It's me having a piece of the action. So, 7 Weeks Coffee, use the promo code ATV10 when you check out, and they give you a great discount. The great company, and of course, they support things that, of course, Kristen and I believe in.
Right, you were talking about the greater good of coffee, and I thought you were going to talk about the greater good of coffee, meaning this company really does support things that are meaningful to all of us, in that they support the lives of the unborn children.
Yep,
saving those lives. And that is super important to us, as I know it is to you as well.
It is an incredible company. We're thankful for them. Today, as we said, we're here in Columbus, but we're not really here for a city review.
No, we did that last year. I think we had a little tiny snippet a couple of years ago, because I mean, we come here every year because I sing in Columbus, and it's just a cute little town. And where we're standing right now is a neat little area, because we are in the War Memorial. Columbus has this really cool war memorial that is right on the courthouse property. At least I believe it's on the courthouse property. That's a courthouse that you see in the background. And we're surrounded by these memorials that really, they list names and dates of birth and dates of death of our fallen heroes. And there's even neater things here, which we did not discover until this year, Rob.
No, it's incredible. It was heart moving for me.
Really?
It was. I'm not the kind of person that gets super emotional about that. It's my Scandinavian background, I think. We kind of stoic people. But we were here, and it just really resonates. And we'll show you some of those here in a little bit. We call that B-roll in the industry. And we'll do that here. But we thought this was a perfect place to come to talk about Flag Day. And of course, Flag Day is my favorite holiday. And I know people say, so what's your favorite holiday? People will say Christmas. And I think when it started, I think people thought I was putting them on, because I would say Flag Day. You get interviewed. I remember getting interviewed for Billboard magazine, and Deborah Evans Price, who is still my friend on Facebook, and I love Deborah. She asked me, that was one of the questions she asked me, and she thought I was putting her on. And it really is the truth. It's been since I was a young kid, and it's something that I think we need to really teach our kids about the flag and how important it really is. And we thought it was very apropos to talk about Flag Day in a place where men and women sacrificed their lives so we would have that flag.
Right. Rob, as we stand here and just surrounded by all of these pillars that talk about our fallen heroes, they all served under the canopy of our great flag and what that flag stands for.
I love something you said though. And I'm going to, so this is not, we don't script any of this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the pillars, these are the people that built the names that you see. These are men and women who built a foundation so you and I could celebrate the freedoms that we have.
That's right. And even if you don't necessarily agree with the freedoms that other people choose to espouse, they are still the freedom that our flag represents.
Yep.
The freedom to be able to speak and the freedom to be able to think the way that you want to, the freedom to be able to worship the way that you want to, free press, all of those things, free religion, everything. That's what our flag stands for, and that's what people serve in the military to uphold.
And we want to thank them, and it's so heartfelt for me, and both of our families had members that served. Your dad served, your grandfather served, which is a great story. We need to talk about that sometime. Her grandfather served, and he was out in San Diego. Was he San Diego?
He was out in California.
Out in California. It's a great story. We'll do it sometime when we have time because it's a fantastic story. But a lot of my uncles served on both sides of my family. So military, very important to both of us. And Flag Day, of course, there's some interesting things about Flag Day. Give us one fun fact about Flag Day.
Okay, so did you know that the current design of our flag was not professionally designed?
It wasn't?
No. So it was designed by a 17-year-old from Ohio.
O-H-I-O. There we go.
It was part of a contest, and they were submitted, and his was chosen by the president at that time.
How cool
is it? It
was in the 50s, yeah. And it was, so you think about it, and I hate to keep bringing all of this stuff up, but that's what makes our country so great, is a high school kid designed the flag that we currently have. Now, there are other iterations of our flag, and I find that to be super interesting, that, of course, it adjusted from the first one, which had 13 stars.
And 13 stripes.
Yeah, and so an incredible piece of history, and ties us together. I think of sporting events. You and I both love sporting events, and of course the national anthem before the sporting. It makes you feel good about life, and I don't know. I think there's so much more that brings us together than that divides us, and I think the flag stands for that coming together for one common good. And that's what these men and women did, is they came together for a common good, a common goal, and fought for our freedom.
Did you know that the original flag still exists today?
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So
you can see it on display in Washington, D.C., I believe.
Yes.
And go ahead.
No, and it's, I mean, you think about that, how long ago that was. We're coming up next year celebrating 250 years as a country. You know, since both Chris and I are very much into this kind of stuff, you're going to see some specials about 250 years of America here on Abundant TV and here on the Rob and Kristen Show. And I would love to tell you some of those things. We don't have them really hammered out yet, but they're coming, trust me.
But there was a little piece of that original flag that was sold off, I don't know, 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. It was like a 2-inch by 5-inch piece of that original flag. I think it brought somewhere around $38,000. I could be off a little bit about it, but it was really interesting to think that they sold off a part of that flag. I don't know the reason behind it.
Maybe the guy in the helicopter will be able to tell us what that was when he lands. We did not plan that, ladies and gentlemen. A very patriotic feeling. We should have like some, really awesome, that kind of music going anyway. But no, you think about it. And here's my question. Why that big a swatch was taken out of the flag? And we don't know. So we don't have an answer to that. But you gotta wonder, what was it? Whoops, did we make a mistake? Cut the flag too short there. Whoops. My guess, it was something to do with restoration. So don't come for me on that one. But I truly believe there's so many incredible things. It's so much that we talk about the flag and even the evolution of our flag. And without getting emotional or trying not to, the sacrifices of every man and woman. If your family sacrificed, my family did. My uncle passed away during World War II. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the sacrifice of having a loved one in the armed forces, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you on a day like Flag Day, and the fact that, you know, and here's something I want to say, and I fall victim of this. There are times where I see a flag and I don't really think about what real sacrifice was involved in that. We have a beautiful flag that flies near our house that is on some commercial property, and this thing is huge.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel awesome every time I see it. But there are times where I drive by it when we go to the grocery store. I don't think anything of it.
Right. I think that's true with a lot of people. How often do you stop and think about what the flag actually stands for? And with Flag Day coming up here in June,
Yeah.
with Flag Day coming up, maybe it'd be a great time to take your kids or just do your own digging and figure out what is the most important thing about Flag Day to you. Because to be honest, until I met Rob, I never really thought about Flag Day a whole lot. You know, I didn't. And I am one of those people that when you first told me Flag Day was your favorite holiday, I thought, oh no, okay, no, really, what is your favorite holiday? Because you know how often he jokes about stuff. And I just figured that
I'm very serious.
I just figured he was joking, but no, he wasn't. And, you know, this is something that's important to our nation. It's important to teach your children or your grandchildren why the United States flag is important. And they're fun facts, and there's so many fun things that you can do to celebrate Flag Day.
Yes.
You know?
Hey, you remember those? And we used to do this. So my mom did this on Flag Day. You remember those red, white, and blue? They were like icy type.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bomb pops.
Yes. Thank you. Could not think of that.
Love bomb pops.
Yes. Could not think of it for the life of me. But Mom used to get those, and we would have those that night. And it was, and like Kristen says, come up with something. Hey, whether it's, we used to do it, draw flags.
Yeah.
Because we were out of school by then. You know, June 14th, you're out of school.
You can, if you've got young kids, you can have them draw flags. You can color. You can see if there's a parade in your area. I've made a cake that was a flag.
Very cool.
So I just made a sheet cake, and then I used white frosting, and then I used raspberries and blueberries for the stars and stripes.
Very cool idea. And I think it's important to share with your kids or your grandkids, especially with something we touched on a little earlier. Next year is 250 years. And don't come at me and say, were you there? I was not. But it's incredible. Of course, we're both history junkies. We love good history stories, movies, anything to do with history. And so I think if anything that people can take out of this is educate, learn something, and let's not let the holiday just go away.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't want it to continue.
Talk about the significance of the colors that were chosen for the flag, because they specifically chose those colors for a reason. So talk about those things as you're doing a fun project. And go plant a flag someplace. They have the little ones that go into the ground. Put them in your flower bed, maybe.
Or decorate, because you got 4th of July coming up.
Yeah.
You go grab some bunting.
Yeah.
Which I learned the word bunting really only about 25 years ago. So I like using the word bunting as often in conversation as I can, because we were doing a political thing and I needed bunting. I didn't know what it was. But get some bunting, decorate your house. 4th of July coming up. It's going to be a great time for doing those kinds of things. To me, I don't want to overemphasize it because I don't want you to think that we're doing this because it's a show. This truly is a holiday that I love, and I love it because I look at the passion of the first men that were here, George Washington, people like that, and you realize how important it was. They didn't have a flag at that point. They were stepping out. I mean, if things had gone south, they were done. They would be charged with treason, and they were done.
Yeah.
And the boldness that they stood for, I think if you go all the way back to that, so even before the flag, and you can teach your kids this kind of stuff, is incredible.
Yeah. So we had the opportunity recently to talk to an author that has a whole series of children's books geared towards our nation's history. And one of the books that she has written is about the flag. And she's got several others of them as well. And in this interview that we're going to have coming up next, she is going to talk about one of those.
Hey, we are so excited to be at the National Religious Broadcasters here in Dallas. We get to meet great friends and hang out and do great things while we're here. And one of those is meeting neat people. Now, this person last year, I have to tell you, and I'm going to share something because you probably know this because we've talked about it on the show before. My favorite holiday is Flag Day. And this lady, she talks all about political stuff. I'm going to have my wife introduce her, and we'll get going.
We are so excited to have Jane Cook with us here today, and she has a series of books that are really geared towards kids, right? Yes. And so you have 5 books in the series. Yes. Tell us a little bit about the series and why you created it.
Well, I noticed on Amazon there was a category of books called Step Into Reading, and the books had numbers to correspond with what grade you were in as a child, but none of the books were about patriotic topics. I mean, it was fun stuff like princesses and things like that, but I thought there was a need to really teach children very basic things about the flag, what the colors are, what the stars are, what they represent, and the colors have virtues. And so I just felt like there was a need in the market, and so I did 4 books all about the flag. My American Flag is the first one. America the Beautiful is the second one. The Pledge to the Flag is the third. And the fourth is My Country 'Tis of Thee. And then this year I have a new one called Why the 4th of July. And so we're all gearing up for America's 250th. And the series is called Revolutionary Readers for America's 250th.
Wow, that's really incredible.
So tell everybody why 4th of July.
So a few years ago, there was a movement to try to rename the birth date of America and to change it to a different year. And I thought there was a need to explain, well, why is the 4th of July America's birthday? And so the book takes you through other important dates, like when a map maker gave America its name on a map in the 1500s. And it takes you through, and the pictures show kids dressed as Queen Elizabeth or dressed as King James. And you get all the way through, and you see these really important moments in American history. And then at the end, you learn that why the 4th of July was because on that day in 1776, the Continental Congress released the Declaration of Independence, and we declared that we were free and independent of England. And so the book is a really child-friendly way. I mean, it really gets all of the history in one short book about everything a kid needs to know in the lead up to July 4th, 1776.
Oh, so I have a question. Mm-hmm. So if you could time travel back to that time period, what would you want to witness and why?
You know, I would want to witness George Washington's miraculous survival on the battlefield. Because in 1755, he was in his 20s, he was in a battle, and he had 4 bullets go through his coat and 2 horses shot under him, but he was unhurt. And he wrote a letter to his mother and his brother that he appeared in the land of the living by the miraculous care of Providence, which protected him beyond all human expectation. Providence meant God's presence back then. And so that is something that would have just been amazing to witness. A little scary, but it would have been amazing to witness that.
I think that as far as the new book you have coming out, like what age range would you say should pick this up? Like if there are people out there watching, their kids, what age range would you recommend to get this book?
So for Why the 4th of July, it's good for 3rd graders and up. So 8 and up, The book My American Flag is for 4 to 6 year olds, so first graders, kindergartners. So that's the cool thing about the series. The number on the book correlates with the grade of elementary school children.
Oh, very cool. So, and it's really important, and I'm sure because you write this stuff, you realize how important it is to start teaching at an early age.
Yes, it really is important to even just the basics you sort of take for granted, that kids don't know the flag. And I remember my father holding one of my sons when he was 3, and my son was all excited because he could recognize the flag as they were driving around, the community. And it's important to pass along love of country and love of God and country. And that's what these books do, is they focus on both ideas.
So do you have any other books floating around right now that you're working on?
I have a book, a coffee table style book called A Great and Grateful Nation, because I don't think we could have become a great nation if we had not been a grateful nation to God along the way. And that's going to be a picture book for grown-ups. It'll hopefully come out before Thanksgiving of this year.
That's the only kind of books I read.
I was just getting ready to say, that's your kind of book.
I saw the light come on. I'm like, nope, I'm stealing her thunder. I am going to say this is exactly the kind of book, because we get a chance to talk with authors. And it's always so funny because they look at me and they go, they know right away I don't read. In fact, we had an author and she had written like 60 books. And I thought, I don't know if I've read 60 books, let alone. But tell everybody a little bit about your history. It's a really interesting history and some of what you've done.
So I started off planning on going into the education field, and then my husband and I switched to politics, of all things. And so I worked for President George W. Bush when he was governor of Texas, and I was the website director, and that was when it was new. My nickname was Web Gal from the president. And then when he moved up to Washington, D.C. to be president, I came up with them as part of the administration, and I did the White House website for 2 years. And then I left to write books and have children. So there you go.
That is so cool. It's just a neat history. And just think, you started as the web gal in Texas, and got a chance to go to D.C. What was your favorite part about being in D.C.?
Well, I think walking into the White House complex every day was just awe-inspiring. And I was there on 9/11, so I was evacuated, and I think it just became a more special place after that.
So do you think your time serving in politics had a greater influence on your writing?
Oh, definitely, because I understood the presidency from watching it, fairly up close, and then I realized all of these people went before us who made significant contributions to our country, and that we need to champion those people and teach their stories to children. Whether it's Peter Salem, who was a Black Minuteman, or Abigail Adams, who took care of her kids while her husband was off working on behalf of the American people. And so, yeah, I think it definitely, I'm not sure I would have gone that direction, frankly, if I had not had the experience of D.C. and the White House.
Well, that is really awesome, and thank you so much for sharing your story here with us.
Thank you.
That was a super fun interview.
It was, except for I couldn't get over how short she looked standing next to you.
I think she was wearing flats, because I'm really not that tall.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm only 6'2", but I look like the Jolly Green Giant standing next to her.
But it really was a lot of fun, and I love her passion for these books that she writes just to show kids this fundamental thing in our history. So it's just really neat.
It is, and again, it ties into what we've talked about. And we are going to take you now through this monument. It's an eye-opening experience of some letters and just the men and women who sacrificed so much. It's here in Columbus, Indiana, and it's an incredible, incredible honored place. Kristen, I don't think we fully understand the depth of war and of the sacrifice that these men made. This guy up here, 1963, he wrote his mom, he said, "Hey, what do you think about me getting married? I'll see you in 2 weeks and bring my new bride home for you to meet." His name was Ralph, and he was an airman second class, and we thank you, Ralph, for your sacrifice. He died the day after that letter was written.
I can't imagine, and I think one of the things that it shows us is we take for granted that tomorrow is coming.
Yep.
And these brave soldiers went into war knowing that tomorrow might not come. But as you can see from that letter to his mom, he said, hey, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks never came.
This one is so, it rattles me. And it's, Mom, and I love this, Mother dear, do not worry over me. I'm all right, and tell all my friends that I died happy. I was shot, and I know that I will die, so goodbye all. Let God bless you. I cannot write no more. I'm too weak. Love, Louis. He died in 1918 in France, and it tears me apart.
Yeah. And here's another one, Rob, over here, that was written in October of 1943. Dear Daddy, how are you? I love you. Trixie is fine. Love, Jean. Honey, you sure do have a good writer in the family, don't you think so? We love you, precious. We love you, we love you, we love you, Mildred. And it was a postcard to Jack Hogan from his son and his wife. And that was in October of 1943, and he was killed in action in France in September of 1944.
Yep.
All around us, Rob, are some of these. I mean, we see them. Here's one from 2010, where he was talking about his truck. Jeremy was talking about, hey, did you hear Ray bought me a truck? I can't wait to drive it. And that was in January of 2010, and he was killed in action in February 18th of 2010 in Afghanistan. And then some of these pillars just have names. And I don't know if you can see that because of the shadows, but these are just all names and years of birth, the years of death.
Such an incredible idea. I love this.
It's really moving, and I really encourage you to make it a point to take into consideration the sacrifices that were made. When you're looking at the flag and knowing that these are real stories of real people who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
You know, we've taken time to read a lot of these letters, and they've made an impact on me, and I hope they've made an impact on you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of names that are just listed on the walls of these pillars that don't have a story memorialized here, but there is a story.
People like Chester Lane, who was 20 years old, who went and fought during World War I. We don't know what Chester wrote about to his family, but we know that he did.
And so many of these other brave men and women that we've seen here spanning multiple wars. World War I, the Korean War, and we saw even one from Afghanistan.
Yep.
So many names here in this memorial, and in other places around on the grounds here, there are other memorials as well that talk about some of the people that are buried in the county here in Bartholomew County in Indiana. We're here in Columbus, that talk about even going back to the Revolutionary War.
It's an incredible, incredible, incredible place. If you're in the area, definitely come by, read the letters for yourself. We want to just take this time to, again, thank each and every person. Every name that's here is a hero, and we appreciate you. We hope you've enjoyed today's edition of the show.
For me, coming here and seeing these letters and being a part of the real-time history, things that were written during that time, only to see some of these young men's lives cut short because of war and the sacrifice that they made, it's just really an eye-opening experience for me.
And we want to thank them again for their sacrifice. Thank the families who also had sacrifice. And we truly appreciate you, and we want to thank you from all of us here at Abundant TV and the Rob and Kristen Show. And we want to remind you, because of our flag, to go out and live an abundant life.